Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the Grisly Destruction AGL Android 18 future and basically just how good she is after her Extreme Z Awakening. Now Android 18 future is kind of the reciprocal unit to the physical Android 17 future. So whereas Android 17 future was slightly more offense orientated, Android 18 future is slightly more defensively orientated. So he had built-in crits, he gained attack of 30% per orb and 20% defense. She's kind of the inverse. So she gains evasion and she has defense of 30% per orb instead of 20% and attack of only 20%. But she is an AGL type lead of key plus 3 HP attack and defense of 100%. She raises attack for 1 turn, causes supreme damage to the enemy, raises defense for 30% by 30% for 3 turns. She has attack and defense of 150%, changes physical key spheres to AGL key spheres, changes end key spheres to physical key spheres, and launches an additional attack that has a high chance of becoming a super attack when HP is 78% or less. She gets an additional attack of 20% and defense of 30% per AGL key sphere obtained, and then gets an additional attack and defense of 20% per key sphere obtained, exclusive of AGL key spheres. She has a medium chance of evading the enemy's attack, including super attack, key plus 1, and an additional attack and defense of 50%, and chance of evading the enemy's attack, including super attack plus 18% per future saga category ally, excluding herself, attacking in the same turn. So what that means is she can have a 66% dodge chance if you have 2 future saga category allies in the turn, which is pretty good. And she can have some pretty decent defense, with the 3 turn stacking of defense, and with the fact that she gains 30% defense per orb, she can end up in the range of being a unit with 500k defense, and having a 66% evasion rate, which if you count me sounds pretty good. She does have additionals built in below a certain health threshold as well, so you could go full crit on her to maximize her offensive capabilities, or you could go with a crit slash additional build if you want to building up defense stacks, or if you want to play on the fact that she has pretty good evasion and you're running her in a future saga heavy team, you could give her a lot of evasion to cover up for the times when she doesn't evade, and just allow her to basically be an evasion pseudo tank for slot 1. I think for me, maybe going crit and evasion feels like the right call here, because her defense can get to a decent level with just a single super attack, and her being able to have that crit chance I think is important. You need crit to do damage. Without it you just can't sink your teeth and do damage to bosses nowadays. And her evasion, with some extra evasion from the passive system to cover up for that 34% where she can't evade, you could have some pretty decent chance. Having 10% evasion, for example, would essentially push her to having 10% evasion for 34% of the time, and push her effective evasion rate to being 70%, which I think overall is a really good percentage to have for the most part. That makes her basically at AGL UI Goku level, which I think is a good level to be at, considering her defense can very easily get up to the 500k mark. I think she's a very good foil to run alongside the 17, so whereas 17 defense sits at a lower, mysterious point, I think her, overall performance is pretty good. One thing that she does do well is elevates and extends to the physical 17. So especially if you go with that more evasion, defensive centric build, in fact if you go full defensive centric and just go additional and evasion, then what she can do is she can basically act as a very good pseudo tank to facilitate the physical 17, who will then run and operate a lot better. So I think that's super important to understand, and I think it's super important to also accept. Her links do play a very important part in her performance. She has some very interesting ones as well. Organic Upgrade, Android Assault, Twin Terrors, all very crucial links to her best performance. Organic Upgrade is 5% crit chance, defense, and attack. Android Assault gives her 2 ki and 10% more defense. Twin Terrors gives her 5% evasion, which is very crucial, allowing you to elevate her passive evasion even higher, and gives her attack and defense as well of 5%. Those 3 links can definitely contribute to her looking very impressive. And when you combine that with a little bit of evasion from your build, alongside some additional if you're going full defense, then double supers, even triple supers, and a 70% plus evasion rate means that she can sit as a very good defensive unit. Who she's defending for, I don't know, because Physical 17 is a good unit, but it's not like he's an absolute bombshell. She does link relatively well with any unit that has Android Assault though. So she's not really limited to anything except for having a Future Saga category ally, which for most times is okay. Her having a Future Saga category ally isn't too game breaking or limiting, although it is obviously something you'd like, to not have to facilitate, if that makes sense. In terms of links, Organic Upgrade is very heavily tied to 17 and 18 future units, but Android Assault is fairly common. Twin Terrors is fairly common among 17 and 18 units in general. And then you get links like Brutal Beatdown, Dismal Future, which are fine and relatively common, and then Fierce Battle for any unit that's been Dokkan Awakened. Battlefield Diva covers it for Pepe Gals, but realistically you're probably not going to run her there, as although you can run a Future Saga orientated team that does have Pepe Gals or Battlefield Diva because of you don't necessarily need it. It's not a super priority link. Now if you can link it, then great, because it adds to your evasion rate, but if you can't, it's not a huge problem. The big thing is maintaining the fact that she needs a future unit. The amount of future units with Android Assault is relatively common, but it's not as common. Like, for example, any of the units from the actual Android Cell Saga don't have or aren't future units, so you do need to be careful of that. But overall, I think she's pretty good. She's got a decent array of options, and I think she's solid on both Android and Future Saga. I just think you have to be a bit careful to make sure she has at least one Future Saga partner on her team to give her at least close to that 50% evasion mark, and you have to link her up with a Future Saga based Android that has Android Assault, or at least float them. But yeah, that's basically going to be it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, let me know your thoughts, and bye.